is not a boy. Chapter 8, Part 1, Holidays. When winter was over, we all looked forward to our summer holidays. I looked forward to finding something else to put on what I'm good at list. I hadn't found anything at school yet so far, so I thought I might find something for my list in my holidays at home. When I say holidays, I mean our long school holidays at home, of course, because our family didn't go away. We always stayed at home at Gum. You see, we couldn't go away for a long time because Mum and Dad and Uncle Sid and Auntie Vera were always busy on the farm. They hadn't got time for a holiday. Our farm was our livelihood. And anyway, Dad said there was no point in going away on holiday where anything could happen. It was safe and better to stick with what you knew. But my mum didn't always agree with him, because I once heard her say that she would like to go on a holiday for a change. But we never did. When us kids weren't helping out on the farm, which we often had to do, we just played about in our fields and woods, doing things that we always did. Sometimes, though, I went to Brenda's at Sunkstead, and Jeanie was always waiting there with Lucky Basket, their pony, and their trap, and we went down their lane, having a lovely time. Sometimes Brenda came to stay with us at Gum, and we ran about all day, shouting and laughing. Except on Sundays. If Brenda was with us, she had to go home. If I was with Brenda, I had to come back home too. Because you see, Sundays were not for Brenda, or even for Gum. Sunday was a very different day of the week. I suppose Mum liked Sundays because it was a bit of a change, and maybe it was a bit of a holiday for her. The first difference was that in the morning we had to help on our farm, because some of our farm workers had the day off. Then in the afternoon, Gwendy and me got ready to go to Elm Tree Cottage at Ringham. First of all, our Gwendy and me bathed in the bathroom upstairs. We couldn't use our dirty, steamy wash house on a Sunday. So up we went. We changed in our knickers and pulled on our Sunday best dresses. We did this very quickly because it was always cold in our bathroom upstairs. Then we went up our lane and jumped on the bus to Ringham. Then we walked carefully down Green Lane. And just before you came to Sunnyside, where the great aunties live, you came to Elm Tree Cottage, where I was born. At Elm Tree, we played with our cousins Mary and Susie, who lived there. But when I said played, I didn't mean the sort of playing that we did at Gum, the running in our fields and woods and making a noise. Oh no, this was quiet, sitting down play. We sometimes played I Spy, and sometimes we read. And sometimes we just sat down by the fire with the bright coals burning up and watched the flames with Auntie Martha telling us stories about angels. She said that guardian angels looked after us all and loved you whatever you did. And I often thought the flames at Elm Tree Cottage were coming up to look after me, and that I could see angels in red dresses leaping up and dancing. And if I was cold, The angel, with its face shining and glistening, would jump up and come out from the fire and wrap its warm wings round me to keep me warm. Then sometimes, because there was all the time in the world at Elm Tree, we went out for a quiet stroll round the garden with gentle Uncle George and Auntie Martha. And even though it was a little garden, they had this great big elm tree in the middle. It was a beautiful weeping elm. And I could tell that it was grafted because halfway up the trunk you could see a rough mark where the beautiful part took over, just like on the tramp's rose. Anyway, we used to sit on a seat under that elm tree, and you could see it hanging round and down almost to the ground. It was shining in the sun and glistening in the rain, and its leafy branches wrapped round you and kept you safe. It was another guardian angel with wings to protect you. Even in the winter, the branches wove together so closely that they made a little wooden umbrella, like the angel's bones. We sat there under the elm tree till it was time for Sunday school. Then we set off and quietly strolled, because you did not run on Sundays. We went down Green Lane and along to our Ringham Chapel. We sang gentle children's hymns and said our prayers. Then our Sunday school teachers taught us Bible stories. Auntie Martha was one Sunday school teacher and I was in her group with Susie. Irene came as the other Sunday school teacher after she got married. Her big church didn't have a Sunday school, so she came to her little Methodist church to teach us kids. Our Gwendy and Mary were in Irene's group, and so was Lenny Fox. Lenny was Charlie Fox's brother, but Lenny was very quiet, not like Charlie, who was in our group. Charlie used to go under the pews and scribble in the hymn books, which you were not allowed to do. Auntie Martha could never turn her back on him for what he might do next. But she never got angry with him, because you don't have to be good for Auntie Martha to like you. She was kind to you, whatever you did, just like the guardian angels. And so, of course, on our prize-giving day, Charlie got a book, just like we all did. We were all given a book for coming to Sunday school. Everybody got one, even if you'd only been a few times, and even if you didn't behave when you came, like Charlie Fox. One year, I had a book called The Three Little Puppies. I sat down straight away near the fire at Elm Tree Cottage to read my story. It was about 3 dogs looking out of a window in a pet shop. They were all hoping and waiting to be bought and go home to a place of their own. And as I read, I could feel the guardian angel flaming up from the fire to wrap round me, and I needed it then, because my story was not turning out too well. 2 dogs got chosen quite quickly and went to safe and loving homes, but the last little Scotty dog did not get chosen, and he was left behind in the shop window to look out with big, sad eyes. Everybody was going past. They were rushing away from him, and he was alone in the world. But I didn't read any more, not just because it wasn't turning out well, but because it was tea time. Very quietly and gently, we took our chairs at the table, and we sat down. Then Uncle George said a prayer, and we all whispered, Amen. And then we had our tea. We had potted meat sammies. We never remembered to say sandwiches like Mam said, even though it was Sunday. They were made with pure white bread, and the crusts were cut off. We never had our crusts cut off at Gum, because Mam said it was good to eat them and the crusts made your hair curl. Mind you, it hadn't done a very good job on her, because to make her hair curly, she had to have perms. Anyway, the last thing we ate was a shop-bought sponge cake. It had white icing and pale little sugar flowers on the top. Oh, but I'd forgotten, because it wasn't quite the last thing. There were the jellies. Jellies in wax paper dishes with concertinaed sides. Oh, it was all like angel food. After tea, Mam and Dad came to Ringham with Katie in our van or car, depending on if it was their turn or not. We all went to chapel, and Uncle George preached to us. And when it was all over, he said Amen again. And very gently, we all whispered, Amen. And then we went home. That was the end of our angel holiday till next week. Mam's bit of a change had come to an end, and I expect she looked forward to the next Sunday.